3 videos down and who knows how many to go. It's time for part 4 of the Incarnation speculations. Today's talk is a bit interesting. Our 4 characters all have very unique and interesting backstories and designs, some with much hidden potential. Cutting this intro short, let's start this thing off. Top of the lineup is Antoine. Adopted son of a nobleman in the Iron Kingdom, Antoine has not become detached from the ideas of where he truly comes from. Being extremely adept at swordsmanship and diplomacy has led him to become an Iron Kingdom ambassador. With rumors of a revolt, he is assigned to do what he does best, but carries very ill vibes for what may come. Amongst the entire cast, Antoine is very unique to me with his design. A swordsman fencer who also believes in diplomacy? Welcome, Indivisible fans, to your paladin character. Leading with a noble foot forward, I think a really good neutral attack could be a simple and basic fencing lunge and stab. Fencing carries lots of grace and prestige, which Antoine clearly boasts with the way he dresses and the stature in which he holds himself. Very simple, yet fine. If the move could be upgraded or was better managed, it could even pierce just a little further past its target onto the X-axis. For an upward attack, a nice arcing swipe with a stalwart stance catches my fancy. As I think of this type of attack, I liken it to Raphael's arcing swing from Soul Calibur 5 or Ike's upward smash in Super Smash Bros. Brawl, but with much more style and panache. As an added effect, if a target is already airborne, this move could probably even push them an extra good distance up in the air, maybe a little bit back. But if they're on the ground, then just some simple modest pushback. To finalize this moveset, let's take a page out of Final Fantasy. Diplomacy only works by laying down your sword and speaking from the heart. Antoine takes his action to try and sway a target. This could function as a slowdown similar to Razmy's that could also even stack. Having 2 characters with interlocking status effects would be extremely beneficial in the realm of action gauge consumption and combo potential. Second in is Zara. This character had me very curious as to the role she's going to play in the game. Clearly a bard-like character who might cause lots of AoE and status afflictions due to her interesting bio. Her musical prowess can inspire heroes, calm beasts, and even gave a woman the ability to give birth when she was barren. That's some pretty powerful magic, you know? With all that info, she reminds me a lot of Linear from Evolution Worlds, using lots of songs and music to benefit the party and adversely affect the enemies. Side note, after Zara's announcement, Lab Zero developer Render made a tweet stating that if he had any Incarnation in his party, it would be Zara. To you I say, I'll take your advice, and discover that one out for myself. Assuming most of, if not all of Zara's actions will be based on music, I'm going to classify her right now as a buff-debuff character. For a neutral attack, Zara could play a small enchanting song that increases the damage of her party's attacks, or if there is a critical hit system in play, the crit percentage or crit range could be increased for a set duration. This period could also be discerned by specific coloring over characters, or certain music notes or other icons that are on the screen. For the second act in Zara's performance arsenal, let's denote her up attack for a debuff this time around. We could assume that maybe using her song, she could charm an enemy into an extreme halt, or even force a target to become confused, or even turn onto an ally. And for the finale to her move pool, an all-team buff that channels ED gain. Having some type of spell like this to increase your ED gain would be really beneficial in certain situations, where you kind of want to be able to go all out, but you really want to be able to reap the benefits of your team's supers. Next is Tenok, the famous Uyumalitzli player in Ixtapuala. Ooh, try saying that 3 times fast. The sport he partakes in is used as a surrogate for dealing with political affairs. During an important match with a neighboring city-state, his team is told to take a dive by corrupt officials, but he refuses and must fend for his life now. The sport that is being used here is one of many famous South American ancient activities, and to make a character out of this is beyond clever in my opinion. He's like a Paleolithic rival schools character up in this bitch. Just take my money! For Tenok's move pool, we're going to see a lot of projectile work as he tosses his Uli ball around. For starting a neutral attack, dodgeball's the name and high speed is Tenok's game. So he could probably choose a target and unleash a high speed volley that does some very impacting damage. For his upward attack, he could toss the Uli ball into the sky, jump into the air, and then spike it down into a mob of foes before it bounces back into his hands, causing a nice big AoE amount of damage. And finally, to wrap up this moveset, his down attack could be something like a ricochet shot. You would have to pick a target that would allow for the ball to bounce off a set trajectory path, and by comboing certain targets or hitting the target areas, you could set up a course for his Uli ball and pin down as many targets as the ball travels and then returns. Last and probably my least favorite from these 4 is Nona. Nona is a bit odd in design, and it feels and looks like this was drawn by a different artist within the team, but her actual info makes me warm up to her pretty well, even though I'm going to give you guys just a little bit of a bio. She's the youngest of 3 sisters with the power to commune with nature, more specifically, plants. She can use her powers to help them grow at rapid rates and do much, much more. A lot of the side effects are growing vegetation, much more food, and a lot of good community-based benefits. Despite being a bit naive of the world and reluctant to leave her own home, she's tasked with leaving in order to grow up and become a bit stronger, and looks forward to seeing the world and all of the flora and fauna that it offers. With Nona's abilities, this gives her many roles she can actually play within the party. She could function as a healer, she could provide sustenance for her allies, or use her plants to damage, inflict ailments, or ensnare enemy targets in order to assist her comrades. I can imagine Nona starting off mostly as a support type character in all of her attacks. By nature, she's not too fond of hurting other humans, but she doesn't fear the idea of hunting other animals, so defending herself is definitely within her own realm. A good starting neutral attack might be to use her communicating powers to summon some plants that would ensnare targets for a small period of time. Not only would these snaring plants slow down target action gauges, but they could also physically hold them in place. Very much the opposite to a lot of the speculations I've made in the past for zoning. This would work totally different. This would allow you to keep a foe right where you want them instead of trying to temporarily push them into a place that you need them. For her upward attack, she could spawn a plant in front of her target and have it cast a random status ailment, whether it's slow, confusion, poison, etc. And for her downward attack, she could use her magics to grow some healing fruits and vegetables that would be able to cure all of her allies of status ailments, or maybe boost certain meters and gauges by a small margin. And with that, this wraps up our 4th Incarnation speculation. We've got some real interesting characters now on the roster, and the next video is sure to be jam-packed with some info, so be sure to stay tuned. As a reminder, this video is all theory and speculation. None of the moves that I've suggested or any of the mechanics that are behind them are canon, just theory. And as always, if you haven't donated to Indivisible, www.support-indivisible.com. Download the prototype on your computer or PS4 and try it today. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Feel free to share your own theories, opinions, and comments below. Once again, I'm Maguma, and I'll see you all next time.